We don't always notice it, but logistics touches every day of our lives. From the food we eat, the medicines we need to take, all the goods that we see in our daily lives, everything depends on logistics. It is very, very intriguing to try to change an industry that's very difficult to change and has a really high environmental impact. Logistics has been there since the beginning of civilization. Trades were done between different parts of the world, and over time there came industrial revolution, steamships and steam rails, and then through the fossil fuels there were cars, trucks, container ships, and then also airplanes, of course. The industry is even projected to grow, and if we're not growing it in a more sustainable manner, the impact on the environment will also grow. Therefore, it is very important that we try to implement as many efficiency gains and new technologies as possible so that we can disconnect the economic growth from the environmental impact that the industry has today. While on a global scale, road logistics have the highest greenhouse gas emissions from all modes of transport, air freight is the one that has the highest impact for the same shipment compared to trucking or shipping. But there is some goods that will need to rely on air freight. Perishables, temperature sensitive or very urgent material, for example medicines. That's why we need to find solutions for the air freight and not just try to avoid it completely. Kuehne+Nagel is a freight forwarder. We are more of a connector of a very complex network of stakeholders. To our overall corporate greenhouse gas emissions, air freight is the one that contributes the most with 53%, while sea comes in really close at 39%, showing us that we need to implement solutions in all the modes of transport. We offer emissions reporting to our customer that show them the emissions that were created during the transportation of each single shipment, taking into account which mode of transport was used, includes the pickup, the warehouse emissions, and also what routing has been used and even which type of aircraft, for example. This insight and visibility gives them the understanding in terms of where their contribution to global warming happens. With that, we can implement measures that reduce the emissions of said transportation and where it has the biggest contribution. One of the strategies means changing the type of transportation, for example, from air to sea or air to sea air, from truck to rail or even to barge. On the other hand, we can implement electric trucks, and in certain distribution centers and warehouses that we build new, we have solar power with photovoltaics on top of it, or even with own windmills for the specific warehouse. Another aspect to reduce the weight is, instead of using a big cooling container, so a huge fridge that has a big weight, we use passive cooling, meaning we use blankets on top of it to keep it cool, which reduces the weight considerably. In certain locations we use cardboard beams instead of wood that are much lighter but still as strong.
These are the wooden beams that we used to use. You can see how heavy it is.
Oh yeah.
And if you feel already the difference,
it's way lighter. Right? Yes.
If we build up a complete 747, compared with the wooden beams, we save nearly 6 tons.
The single most important measure to reduce considerably the emissions of a flight is using sustainable aviation fuel. These are fuels that can be used in today's aircraft but are produced from more sustainable sources, such as bio-based waste products like used cooking oil, agricultural residues or others. This is already possible today. SAF is mixed with fossil jet fuel and put into today's aircrafts. There are some crucial limitations to sustainable aviation fuel. First is the availability of the resource material, the feedstock, being more sustainably sourced, and also the energy use of it. Secondly, it is more expensive than today's jet kerosene. And thirdly, there needs to be built a lot of capacity to get the quantities that we need for aviation. We have a clear vision of what more sustainable air freight of the future can look like. That's why we work with carriers, with partners, with customers, with tech leaders to get those solutions to market sooner. One such example is Synhelion, a producer of synthetic fuel using water and CO2 together with renewable energy to produce those kind of fuels. Another area where we build a partnership is into new aircraft manufacturing. Nautilus is a manufacturer of new types of aircraft that promise to have much lower fuel consumption, and with that comes lower emissions. As a big player in the logistics industry, we see it as our responsibility to work on those new technologies, on those new solutions. And we know that it only works through collaboration. That's our strength. It's a huge challenge, it's a difficult challenge, but I believe that we can make it. So I came into this industry because I want to leave this place a bit better than it was before and feel proud of what I was able to achieve with long-lasting changes. I truly believe that I can make change happen, and that's why I'm getting up every day and try to do my best.